right now on 5 on your side at 10.
Missouri's fourth execution this year carried out tonight. What the convicted child kidnapper and murderer said in his last statement. Plus tonight, flood preps.
The stormwater systems were never designed, not here or anywhere, to handle the sorts of rain events we see right now.
How the state is prepping roads and sewers, bracing for another round of severe weather.
A weather first storm alert for Wednesday, an early morning flash flood threat for parts of the area, and an evening threat of severe weather for the metro as another flooding threat develops.
You're looking live right now over downtown St. Louis and City Park. Things are calm, but storms could be moving into parts of our viewing area, specifically west of St. Louis overnight. Because of the potential of flash flooding, we begin tonight in a storm alert. I'm Ann Allred. Mike Bush has the week off. We have team coverage. Laura Barczewski shows us how crews are preparing for those potential floods. But first, Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell tracking the storm.
You know, it's a setup that very similar to what we saw at the end of last year when we saw those torrential rainfalls. Not that we're going to get a foot of rain, that's highly unlikely, but there probably will be some spots that get 3 to 5 inches or more overnight tonight, and then that chance will continue into tomorrow night. What's going on and where is it now? Well, there are a few light showers trying to drift towards St. Louis. None of this is really developed at this point, at least not enough to raise the flags for us, but we're starting to see signs up towards Kirksville of some additional development, and we really think it's this area back here into parts of mid-Missouri where things are going to blossom in the next 2 to 3 hours. Just kind of looking at that here through the early morning hours, mostly to the west and southwest of St. Louis. Some of it does get into the metro just in time for the morning rush hour, off and on, but the heaviest rain will not fall in the metro with this first wave. Where will it fall? West and southwest of St. Louis. That's where the flash flood watch, or the flood watch for flash flooding, is in effect. Now, for later tomorrow into tomorrow night, very early Thursday morning, St. Louis is then targeted for the potential of flash flooding. In fact, it's a high risk from the Weather Prediction Center. So flash flooding concerns why we're in this weather first storm alert. 2 rounds of heavy rain and potentially even some severe weather tomorrow evening. But that first wave stays to the west of us for the most part tonight. And then going into tomorrow night, that's when St. Louis has the better chance of seeing the heavier rainfall. We'll stay on top of it, Ann.
Crews from several different agencies tell us they're staffed up and on standby ahead of the storms. 5 on your side, Laura Barczewski continues our team coverage. She's live near Highway 64 with how they're prepared to respond and how you can be ready. Laura.
And the Metropolitan Sewer District says it's best right now before the rain comes to go outside, check around your storm drain, or even just pick up things in your yard so that doesn't get stuck in the drain, causing a water blockage, so the water can go where it needs to, not in your house.
With more rain on the way, St. Louisans think back to where we were just 1 year ago.
I hope to never see a rain event like we saw last year.
But the Metropolitan Sewer District says in preparation for the worst, they've kept up with regular storm drain cleaning.
We've got almost 350,000 inlets and manholes around here. So even though we're on a constant and rigorous inspection and cleaning schedule, it's a lot to get to. We can't see them all at once. So if you do see something that's a problem, please let us know.
Sean Stone with Project Clear says they've got all hands on deck.
We've doubled our standby crews. So we have more crews available to respond to issues quickly if there are issues overnight. We've also increased the number of people in our customer service center to handle the call volume if there are problems. Here's hoping we don't have them.
If drains end up clogged, that can also affect drivers. The Missouri State Highway Patrol says if you have to drive, check your route with MoDOT ahead of time.
If you're driving down a highway and you see a roadway that the water is covering, you don't know how deep that water is. You don't know what the road looks like underneath that water. It may be washed out and have a big rut in the road that would cause you to fall into the rut and get stuck and stranded.
And if you do get stuck, try to stay calm and call for help. Only 6 inches of water can cause a car to stall.
The best thing to do is, if possible, stay inside your vehicle. We don't know what the current is like. If the water is rising inside your vehicle and you need to get out, maybe crawl out on the roof of your vehicle, but try to stay there as long as you can.
Now, you know the saying, if you're out driving, turn around, don't drown. However, if you're at home and you see a storm drain issue, you can call MSD at 314-768-6260. Reporting live from St. Louis, Laura Barczewski, 5 on your side.
Get our Weather First forecast on your phone. Just text the word weather to 314-425-5355. President Donald Trump, former president, has been indicted by a federal grand jury. Today, charges were handed down after examining Trump's role in the January 6th riot and efforts to overturn the election in 2020. Brent Solomon's taking a closer look at the charges and joins us with reaction.
Hey there, Ann. This is the first time in history a grand jury has indicted a former president for trying to overturn an election he lost. Today's charges include 4 counts, including conspiracy to defraud the nation, a conspiracy against the right to vote, and attempting to obstruct the certification of the electoral vote.
In this case, my office will seek a speedy trial so that our evidence can be tested in court and judged by a jury of citizens.
Special Counsel Jack Smith with the Department of Justice speaking after a grand jury Tuesday unsealed even more criminal charges against former President Trump. The 4 counts center around the 2020 election.
With conspiring to defraud the United States, conspiring to disenfranchise voters, and conspiring and attempting to obstruct an official proceeding.
I would consider this the most serious of the indictments that the former president has had so far.
5 on Your Side legal analyst says Mr. Trump's previous indictments bolstered his base. She expects the same this time.
He has always liked to come at the position when he was in private life and in government of being a fighter, of being oppressed, kind of that punching back. And so I think this puts him in a stance that even though these allegations are certainly very serious, it's a stance he sort of likes to be in.
She believes it could play well in upcoming primaries, but it may not be the ticket to ultimate victory.
The majority of Americans think that there were crimes committed, are concerned about this, and that's not good once you get outside the Republican primary and into a general election. If you're kind of the Republican Party, the Republican establishment, this is a scary time.
Mr. Trump is expected to be arraigned on Thursday. His campaign calling the indictment a witch hunt. Just last week, a new indictment and a separate investigation into Trump's alleged mishandling of classified documents brought even more charges against him. Ann.
Nearly 4 hours ago, Johnny Johnson died by lethal injection for the murder of 6-year-old Casey Williamson. Our Robert Townsend was at the Bonne Terre State Prison for the execution.
Several family members of Casey Williamson came to this state prison to see the man convicted of murdering her 21 years ago executed. In July of 2002, the case gripped the hearts of many in the St. Louis area and made national headlines when 6-year-old Williamson disappeared from her home in Valley Park. Dozens of volunteers and police searched for the missing child. On July 26th, Casey's body was later found in a pit inside an abandoned glass factory less than a mile from her South St. Louis County home. Prosecutors say Johnny Johnson confessed to beating the child to death with bricks and rocks after he tried to rape her. When Johnson showed up at a barbecue, Casey's family let him sleep on their couch the night before she was killed. Anti-death penalty advocates said Johnson had schizophrenia and should not have been executed. But in a statement, Governor Mike Parsons said in part, courts found that Johnson was competent at the time of the crime and is competent now. The prison's director read Parsons' statement to the media.
Johnny Johnson's crime was one of the most horrific murders that has come across my desk. Casey was an innocent girl who bravely fought Johnson until he took her life. My office has received countless letters in the last few weeks seeking justice for Casey.
Just after 6:30 Tuesday night, Johnson died by lethal injection. Williamson's family did not talk to the media after Johnson's execution, nor did they issue a statement. In Bonne Terre, Robert Townsend, 5 on Your Side.
In Johnson's final statement, he said, quote, "God bless. Sorry to the people and family I hurt." He was the 4th person to be executed in Missouri this year. A child is now safe after a man takes off with his girlfriend's car and her 4-year-old son inside. The car was stolen from a Quick Trip in St. Anne. Officers from the North County Co-op spotted the car using flock cameras and tried to pull it over. The driver refused to stop, reaching 120 miles per hour. Officers eventually caught the man at Natural Bridge in Goodfellow. The child was not physically harmed. New tonight, a community-wide celebration in East St. Louis in honor of National Night Out. Here was the scene at Lincoln Park just a few hours ago. Huge crowd showing up for this event. It's aimed at better connecting the community with law enforcement. It's also about neighbors building relationships with one another to keep the community safe. Since state police partnered with East St. Louis Police a few years ago to help solve crimes, leaders say it's made a big difference.
We have accomplished a lot. Not only have there been a lot of cases that have been solved and a lot of people that have been sentenced for crimes that they've committed, but I think that we've built a better relationship with the community.
So we're always happy when all levels of law enforcement give our community the attention that we need and deserve.
National night events are happening all over the bi-state and all over the nation. Many of those events offer entertainment, food, and resources to help build stronger communities. The Archdiocese of St. Louis All Things New restructuring, which reshapes 178 Catholic parishes into 134, goes into effect today. But the plan is on pause at several parishes as they appeal. Now the Archdiocese gave specific instructions to parishioners on the proper steps to appeal. Within a certain time frame, parishioners needed to write to the Archbishop, and then his office would forward those appeals to the Vatican. However, not everyone did that. The founder of Save Rome of the West has been assisting parishes in the appeal process. Jason Bolt said there are 6 additional parishes that went directly to Rome, bypassing the Archdiocese. And the Archdiocese did not put those 6 locations in their list of suspended plans.
Is there a chance that they're just not aware? Yes. And if that's the case, we want to make you aware right now that there are 6 other parishes, and if you're going to stop it for 7, you need to stop it for all 13. Truly, to be equitable and be fair and just in all of this, everybody should get the same, fighting chance on this.
The Archdiocese says it will have to wait until they receive notification and direction from the Vatican on next steps for those 6 parishes who went directly to Rome. College life can mean shared spaces. Consumer Reports shows us how you can score some deals on the dorm room essentials. He says he was passed over to be the city police chief because he's white.
Whether the mayor or the police chief is black or white, discrimination is wrong. It needs to stop.
Now the attorney for Lieutenant Colonel Mike Sack is making a case.
And the jury is still out on just how much rain will fall over the next 36 hours, but we do anticipate flash flooding problems overnight, especially west of St. Louis. How long the weather first storm alert will stay in place, plus when and where the biggest threats exist.
Today, yellow freight workers gathered and hung their vests with pride as they paid tribute to the place where they made a living. Hundreds of St. Louis area employees are now without a job after that company shut down operations over the weekend. Many workers did more than punch a clock. They invested their time, labor, even their own money to keep the company afloat.
And that equates about $100,000 per man that we gave back, and the company still couldn't make it. And it's just very frustrating that the higher ups, the CEOs and all of this, they just took the money and nobody knows where it went.
As these employees search for new jobs, they hope Congress will investigate what happened to a $700 million pandemic loan. Tonight, a top St. Louis police commander is suing the city for racial discrimination, saying he was passed over for police chief because he is white. Lieutenant Colonel Mike Sack was one of 2 white candidates left standing after a national search for the city's chief of police in 2021. Then Mayor Tashara Jones told the St. Louis American she restarted the process because St. Louis is more diverse than white males. Sack's lawsuit says 2 black candidates then declined the offer, ultimately giving Robert Tracy, a white man, the promotion. We sat down with Sack's attorney today, who explained why Sack has a case even though a white man got the job.
He's saying that he was discriminated against when the process was reopened to find the chief when he was qualified, and the only reason he didn't get the job was because he's white.
The mayor's office says the city will not comment on pending litigation. If you went to Schnucks today, you may need to make another trip back tomorrow. Ground beef purchased between 6 a.m. and 2 p.m. today in Fenton is recalled because it may contain pieces of plastic. This is only at the Schnucks on Gravois Bluffs with a sell-by date of August 2nd. You can return the beef for a full refund or exchange it. Whether you're a college freshman about to be away from home for the first time or a senior living off campus, Consumer Reports is here to help you tackle that seemingly never-ending shopping list with some college dorm essentials that will help you live large, even if your space is small. Here's Mike Bush.
Adriana Yanez is gearing up to go back to school in a shared dorm very soon.
My favorite parts about living on my own at school, half of it is the freedom, but the other half is just experiencing new things, just kind of getting that taste of being by myself.
But with that freedom comes a lot of responsibility. Consumer Reports says you can start by making sure you have the right items for your living space.
One of the biggest challenges of college life is adapting to a shared space, and that could mean sharing a bathroom, sharing a living room. And when it comes to living in these type of arrangements, staying organized is key.
Make your shared bathroom experience a breeze with a shower caddy. This Made Smart soft grip tote is as low as $10.31 at Target. It comes with ventilation holes that promote airflow to help minimize that funky shower smell. Next, organize and decorate damage-free. This Command Variety Pack is as low as $17.98 at Amazon. Use them to corral cords underneath a desk, hang towels from a door, or even hang bags and accessories. Getting a good night's sleep in college isn't always easy, but a good pillow can help. This Coop Sleep Goods, the original pillow, is one of CR's top-rated adjustable pillows and is $72 at Amazon and Coop Sleep Goods. Now to the desk, ideally one that's ergonomically sound. This Insignia ergonomic laptop stand is now $29.99 at Best Buy. This stand can raise the laptop about 10.5 inches off the desk. And finally, an item you can use for your studies and having a good time with friends. The JBL Clip 4 wireless and Bluetooth speaker is $79.95 at ABT Electronics and Amazon. An exciting time for Adriana as she gets ready to go back to school while keeping her budget in mind.
My least favorite part about shopping for the new school year is the pricing of everything. I think that's my least favorite part, but other than that, I love it all.
And your student ID can also unlock savings on back-to-school gear like a new laptop or phone, as well as books, clothing, and video streaming services. We've got a list of some great student discounts on our station website. It is an iconic image from the flood of '93, and it happened 30 years ago today near Columbia, Illinois.
That house is starting to go.
Oh, Jeff, it's unbelievable.
On August 1st, 1993, the Mississippi River broke through a levee near the Gummersheimer farm, and it swept their farmhouse away on live television. Gene Jackson and Jeff Fowler were anchoring that Sunday morning. The house was built in 1901 and had been in the Gummersheimer family for generations. Family members evacuated before the levee broke, leaving all of their possessions behind. The family moved a little bit further from the Mississippi, but they stayed in the floodplain and rebuilt. Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell joining us now with the weather first forecast and a couple days of rain, and it kind of just really depends on where you live.
Yeah, you remember that back, 30 years ago.
Oh, I do.
Well, it was just an incredible weekend because Friday night the Chesterfield levee gave way, the Monarch levee out in Chesterfield, and then we woke up Saturday morning to the valley being flooded, and then the river at its peak at 49.58 feet on August 1st. That was just before the levee gave way down there in Monroe County. And once that happened, then the river dropped right under the arch, I think by about 4 or 5 feet, I want to say, in just a couple of hours. It was dramatic. Anywho, this type of flooding that we're looking at tonight into tomorrow and tomorrow night, that is not going to be big river flooding. It's going to be flash flooding, perhaps in your neighborhood, especially west of St. Louis overnight. Nothing really is out there that stands out right now. You have some lighter showers trying to drift into the metro, but the thunderstorms are starting to develop up here across parts of Iowa, stretching into northern Missouri. They're just going to run right down into this area over the western portions of our viewing area. That includes places like Warrenton, down perhaps as far as Farmington, but certainly back to the west here. As you go to Steelville, as you go back towards Rolla, as you head out into parts of Franklin County and Gasconade County, this is where some of the heaviest rain is likely to fall overnight and early tomorrow morning. Then we're going to tack on more into the metro area for tomorrow evening and tomorrow night. And locally, there'll be spots that end up with more than 5 inches of rainfall. And if it comes too fast and furious, it creates flooding problems, flash flooding. The rivers are incredibly low right now. So the Missouri and the Mississippi can handle what we deal with it. It's all the creeks, streams, and the drainage ditches in our backyard that create the problem. So through tomorrow morning early, the flood watch is west and southwest of St. Louis. This entire pattern is not shifting over the next couple of days. So that means while we're looking at these disturbances riding along, we're also seeing all this heat and humidity fueling shower and thunderstorm development. So here's the band for overnight tonight into early tomorrow. Mostly to the west of St. Louis. Sure, the metro gets in on some of it for tomorrow morning's rush hour, but not enough to cause major problems in St. Louis. Then heading into tomorrow night, here comes the next band. That wave should be closer to St. Louis, if not right on top of us. That could be where we get our 3 to 5 inches of rain and potentially even some stronger thunderstorms out of that with some gusty winds and maybe some hail tomorrow evening. That's why we have a storm alert running for the next 36 hours through Thursday morning. 81 degrees. It's where we are right now. 86 was the high, only 1/100 of an inch in the rain gauge today. Think we'll be changing that for most of us, getting a healthy inch or two, and for some of us getting 4, 5, 6, maybe more inches of rain and flooding potential. So your weather alerts continuing tomorrow into tomorrow night and Thursday. There'll be a break tomorrow afternoon, we think, Ann, before things get dicey again tomorrow night. So stay tuned and stay up to date on what's going on.
All right, Scott, thank you. Holden's in for Frank. What's coming up in sports?
Well, and the dust is still settling on the Cardinals' deadline sell-off, but that didn't stop the team from playing tonight at Busch. I'll explain why their biggest loss of the day may not have come on the field after the break.
The Sports Desk is sponsored by Jim Butler Chevrolet, the Midwest's #1 Chevy dealer 10 years running.
It's an interesting time, I guess, is the way to put it. It's a time where, there's change and more opportunities. So, we just got to kind of see what happens.
The Major League Baseball trade deadline passed a little over 5 hours ago, and I think Dylan Carlson summed it up best by saying it's just a little strange with the Cardinals being sellers for the first time in over a decade. John Mozeliak's biggest move of the day came just minutes before the deadline when he shipped righty Jack Flaherty to Baltimore, where he will be counted on to bring experience to a young rotation as they make a playoff push. In return, the Cards got infielder Cesar Prieto, who's hitting .349 between AA and AAA, to go along with pitchers Drew Rom and Zach Showalter. Earlier today, the team traded shortstop Paul DeJong to Toronto, where he will reunite with former teammates Genesis Cabrera and Jordan Hicks. 24-year-old reliever Matt Swanson, who has an ERA of 1.23 in high A, is headed back to St. Louis. He will report to AA Springfield.
The depth now that you've added to our minor league system that you didn't have, say, 4 days ago, has changed dramatically. In terms of impact, when you're looking at trying to fill 3 rotational spots. Obviously, we know that that's either going to have to come through the trade market this offseason or the free agent market, and we'll prepare ourselves for the following. But we didn't feel like those types of deals existed in this process.
The hits just kept coming to the Cardinals roster today. Utility man Brendan Donovan is going to have season-ending surgery on the flexor tendon in his throwing arm, which has prevented him from playing the field for the last several weeks. His season ends with a .281 average, 11 homers, and 34 RBIs. Even with all the roster movement, there was still a game to be played tonight at Busch, and it would stay scoreless until the top of the 5th when Tommy Edman gets a routine ground ball to short, but pulls Goldschmidt off the bag with a throw. Twins with the early lead. The Cards would tie it up, though, in the bottom of the 6th. Nolan Arenado drives this one out to left. The run's going to come around and score, but the pitcher is going to cut off the throw, and he's going to get Lars Nootbaar over at third. And the Twins would reclaim the lead in the 7th when Donovan Solano drives one past the drawn-in infield. 2 runs would come around to score. Minnesota would hold on to win this one. 3-2 is your final. And early this morning, the U.S. women's national team eked out a draw against Portugal. They will take on Sweden in the knockout stages. That's all for sports, Ann.
Holden, thank you. We'll be right back. Some Taco Bell customers say they aren't getting what they pay for. Now, one man has filed a lawsuit accusing the restaurant of false advertisement. The suit claims the pictures in the advertisements do not look like the menu items being served. One example, the Mexican pizza, didn't have as much beef or beans as the picture. Taco Bell has not responded. We just can't shake that lottery fever. The Mega Millions jackpot tonight, more than $1 billion. And tonight's winning numbers, 8, 24, 30, 45, 61, and 12. This is the second $1 billion prize in as many weeks. Someone in California hit it big on July 19th, winning the $1.8 billion Powerball jackpot. Good luck. And Scott has a final check of the weather.
Yeah, and we're hoping for good luck weather-wise. We still have that chance for flooding tonight, mainly west and southwest of St. Louis. It'll develop after 2 or 3 in the morning. What's out there right now, nothing that really stands out, and it really isn't a problem for the next 2 or 3 hours. But check your gutters, make sure your sump pump's running or capable of running if it needs to and working efficiently, because you want the water to drain away from your home when it comes down. And it may be fast and furious when it comes down, especially west of St. Louis late tonight, early tomorrow, and then even in the metro area for tomorrow night into early on Thursday. That's why we're in storm alerts.
Thanks for being with us for 5 on your side at 10. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon is next. Have a great tomorrow.